Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Julian with me. We've just beaten Girona 2-1 here at the Stadio Montalivi. Now, a new ground on your spreadsheet. I know you was excited to visit a new ground. Before we get to performance, enjoy where you were and enjoy the game from where you were Saturday?
I thought it was, if I had to describe it from grounds I have been to on my spreadsheet, it would be rather like Luton, but Luton in a cage.
It's nicer than, it's a nicer ground than Luton. No offence to Luton fans.
No, it was a pretty similar. It was a pretty similar ground, but then you sat behind netting, and when you sat behind netting,
you go to many away games in Europe. You know that's what comes with this.
I understand that comes with it, but there is no reason to be sat behind netting, because one of their excuses to sit you behind netting is that you're in the upper tier and you could throw things down. Now, let's give them credit. Their security getting in was absolutely excellent. We went through 3 searches, and it wasn't just searches where they just, pat you once and that's it, on you go. They made me empty out my pockets. I had earpods on me. They made me take that out. They felt the earpods and said, right, what's that? Had to take it out, show it's earpods. So proper searches, 3 searches. So number one, I wasn't in the upper tier, so I couldn't have thrown anything down. And if I had been in the upper tier, I've been searched 3 times, and 3 times well, so I didn't have anything to throw.
Could have thrown your AirPods.
Not at the price that I paid for those earpods, no. And the third thing is, the demographics of the people here, it was quite interesting because you need a lot of points to get to this game. So there's only 500 seats available for Arsenal fans. I say seats, but no one seems to sit down at the Arsenal end either, which is detracting from my enjoyment, because everyone,
they're singing and getting, they're fans, they're cheering on the team.
Yeah, all right, but you need a lot of points, and people with a lot of points they get the prize. They get the prize for sitting behind a net and in a cage, but they're an older fan, and they're not the kind of fans that are going to go there and throw things. So I'm saying.
So what are you?
Well, I'm an older fan,
yeah, right, okay.
And I'm not likely to be going and throw things. So why should I sit in a cage?
Okay.
So. Other than that, Girona as a place, I would really, really recommend it. It's a very romantic location to go to. Not with you, of course. But
I was saying, we don't. What is this? A tourist advisory?
No, but it is tourist, because coming to a European away game, you're going to a destination, and when you're going to a destination, you're not just going to the game. You're going to enjoy the place. And one of the things that I think is important when you come to these games, especially a new ground like Girona, is check out the place. And we saw some really interesting things today.
People. Let's just skip to where we start now. Let's talk about the game, which is what you're here to do. There we go. Right. So, let's start with what we saw at the beginning. Let's start with Neto. Let's start with what you made of Neto's performance. Obviously, he slipped straight away. There's a bit of panic from us, especially in the stands. And he made a mistake, I suppose, for the goal. He was in no man's land. But what did you make of his performance as a whole?
I thought if you take the first 20 minutes out and those 2 incidents where he slips, he was being asked to play like Raya. He was obviously playing in that way, but he doesn't have the skill set that Raya has. Raya is absolutely exceptional, and you realise how good Raya is when you see Neto trying to play the same game, and he's incapable of doing it.
It's his first game, though. It's a lot of pressure going in there. I'm not saying this. I know footballers have to deal with pressure week in, week out, but there is obviously going to be a slight drop between Raya and Neto. All
right, there was more than a slight drop. For a start, that's not his first game of football, although for the first 20 minutes it did look like his first game of football. The second part, when he, all right, anyone can slip, anyone can give a bad ball away. He looked bad when he did that. But for their goal, the judgment of not knowing that you're that far out of your area, wasn't even close, like on the line. He was totally out of position, which can happen, but the lack of judgment to then try and save the ball would have put us down to 10 men. That's a definite sending off from what I understand about the laws of the game. That to me was criminal. However, as Lee said, I would agree with it. Once he got over that, I thought he looked stable, but he wasn't really tested, because Girona, that they weren't, they are where they are because of their performances, and their performances are indicative of the kind of team they are. The quality isn't great.
There were some close moments, though. They caused Arsenal a little bit. I mean, they had a disallowed goal, which at times, you'd have thought it can go either way, and they did put us a little bit, if we're being honest.
Yeah, they did. But when you look at how much possession Arsenal have,
we had loads more. I think 60 or 70 over there.
We had loads. The level of chances Arsenal create with the possession that they enjoy and the play that they enjoy is low, and then from the amount of chances Arsenal actually create to what they convert is low. So I think I've worked out Arsenal's issue. Against teams like this, of this quality, they should be beating those kind of teams with the players they've got, with the quality they've got, with the possession they've got, with the style of play they've got, by a lot more than just one goal. And the reason is they don't create enough chances, and from the chances they do create, their conversion rates are low.
Yeah, which is the reason why I think a lot of fans are screaming for a striker. I know it also goes into midfield and creativity problems as well, but I mean, that comes down to that. Then you're looking at Arteta and the way we set up and the way we play, which can be in question, because I think at times we could have countered Girona, but we ended up keeping the ball, recycling it, which I think frustrated certainly me, but some other fans that were sat around me as well. I need to kind of ask you, what impressed you the most today from Arsenal?
Well, I think if you look at Sterling and you look at Nwaneri, you would say that if you swap them over, the performances, you would say that both had good games.
Correct. Carry on.
So with Sterling, he did all right. The reality is Sterling did okay, but
Nwaneri did better though, you would say.
Yeah, Nwaneri did a lot better. But then the reason I'm saying swap them over, you've got one player, I wouldn't say he has been world class, but he's been a very, very good Premier League player, and he should still be there. Whereas Nwaneri's 17 years old. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you swap those performances over, you could almost get mixed up. That you'd say they both did okay for who they are, but actually Nwaneri at 17 is outperforming that profile considerably. Because to me, and I got one thing about where we sat in the second half, I got probably the best view, apart from being in the cage, of a close-up of Nwaneri, and you don't really appreciate it when you're higher up. I mean, the vantage point I have at the Emirates is really good, but I was so close to him, the ball just sticks.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before. The level of skill that he's got,
his low centre of gravity is unbelievable when he plays.
Yeah, and how natural he is when he's running with the ball.
Correct.
It just seems to be absolutely effortless, and I didn't really appreciate that until today. Whereas Sterling, I thought, did okay, huffed and puffed, but he was just okay.
And Nwaneri is outperforming everyone though. I know you're saying you're comparing him to Sterling, but if his performance for me was the shining light from the whole team.
Yeah, it was, and he's 17 years old, and Lee again was saying that. I think you asked him the question: does he deserve? Should he be starting?
Should he be starting? Yeah, I'm going to ask. A man's a big game. Played a lot of minutes today. Should he be starting?
Well, on one side of it, absolutely, because he's our new star boy. He absolutely is. But I am still concerned that he is 17, and the physicality of the game, when you're growing, and the growing pains that you can have, you don't want to overplay him. I just don't want to see a talent like that should absolutely end up being a world-class talent overplayed, and then we get a Wiltshire situation.
Before I finish, would you want him to play more in the Newcastle away game to try and claw back that 2-goal gap, or would you rather see him against City?
All right, for me, I don't want to see either or. I actually want to see. I think both are really important. So I'm going to totally contradict myself and say I'd play him in both.
Give me one. Give me the one game you'd rather see him in, because we can claw back that 2-goal. If he's like I said, his shining light tonight. He's someone you look to get a goal. Do you play him? Would you rather him in that Newcastle game or in City?
One. I don't want to choose. I want him in both.
Pick one.
I'm going to say Man City, and the reason being is because that's the next game, and then once he's played that, I'll say Newcastle.